What's all this nonsense?
What? Nonsense?
Magical nonsense.
Oh, nonsense.
Oh, nonsense.
I think we've had enough of this nonsense.
That's nonsense.
Stop this nonsense.
Scaring the kids with your nuclear holocaust nonsense.
Well, enough of this nonsense.
Oh, that's so wasteful.
Nonsense.
Absolute casserole of nonsense.
You'll stop with this April Fool's nonsense.
Nonsense or mom sense?
Some other nonsense.
Forget that nonsense.
I am sick and tired of all this nonsense.
To me, nonsense.
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 Oh, I'm done with that nonsense.
Not this nonsense again.
That sounds like nonsense.
This is some embarrassing nonsense we're witnessing right now.
As you can see, my client is speaking nonsense.
Oh, fuff. Enough of your superstitious nonsense.
Nonsense thou speakst.
Nonsense.
Not nonsense at all.
That's complete nonsense.
What is this nonsense?
Stop with this sugar nonsense!
This nonsense ends now.
You gotta learn to tune out the nonsense.
I don't got no time for this nonsense.
At least I'm done with all your nonsense.
Enough. I don't care about any of this nonsense.
So I don't have to be interrupted by that nonsense.
I've had enough of your nonsense.
If anyone kept track of this nonsense.
Surely there's someone who could handle this sort of nonsense.
Shall we just do nonsense?
I've had enough of this nonsense.
Forget about this rollerblading nonsense, boy.
Now what? Enough of this nonsense.
Okay, enough of this nonsense.
Putting an end to your nonsense. Let me dial in my associate.
Stop all this nonsense.
Just can't deal with all your nonsense anymore.
Stop all this trial nonsense.
Fine, but no nonsense.
Forget it. Our nonsense is so much better than your nonsense.
All this nonsense has to stop now.
Let's shake hands and stop this nonsense. Okay. Now, what's all this dream nonsense?
Behind all this nonsense.
That's the end of all this mummy nonsense.